Welcome back to another episode of Unranked Podcast. We're going to tune back in. Back half of the conference finals as far as playoffs go here. So we're going to dive in deep to that. And myself, Elijah here with
Yeah, got Grant as well. Hope everybody's week's going well. Back, just gonna, like you said, talk a little bit about basketball, talk a little about some of the trade rumors that's kind of swirling around, and it's really gonna get into it. So, um, like I said, we'll lead things off with obviously the most important time of the year, conference finals. Got a couple solid matchups, probably the matchups we weren't expecting. If we were to ask us what was going to happen a month and a half ago, our favorite players, they're already kind of, out in Cancun, chilling and everything. So, got right now we got the Bucks and the Hawks playing right now. Clippers and the Suns are in a dogfight. I guess we can kind of start off with last two games and what your thoughts were just with how the Bucks looked against the Hawks and then how the Clippers looked against the Suns last night.
yeah. So I'm start out with well, they're both great series to be honest, but I'll start out with the ones that I kind of find a little more intriguing, and that would be the Hawks Bucks. Seeing what Trae Young has been putting together over the last, really the whole playoffs, but over the last couple of games, he's really the team. I don't know. I like that series the best. So I would say that's the most intriguing to me, and it's kind of interesting to see just the Bucks rebound from almost at the brink of being eliminated and come into this series and then kind of get hit in the mouth with Trae Young going off and then just them kind of stabilizing and still rolling.
Yep.
So I do think they're starting to show that they have a little more tough skin. Them getting eliminated the way they did over the last couple of seasons may have built them to be a tough team. And so with Trae Young going out and with just the way that they do seem to have it rolling in a couple of different facets. That's the Bucks. I would see that it's they might be my personal favorites of trying to get it done. Especially with I was a little nervous for him at first with the way Trae Young was going off, but I think that kind of with that being over, it might be there. It might be theirs for the taking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy, right? It's like I think this is probably one of the more interesting matchups to watching Atlanta. I mean, ironically, they're up 9 points right now without Trae Young, which is kind of crazy. Looking at the box score, Giannis only has 6 points. Only made three field goals. Trae Young's not playing. They started Lou Will. Lou Will's got 13 already. So he just stepped in and just does what he does. But no, I agree with you. I mean, I think, you know, it's kind of hard telling, like Giannis is also kind of banged up. I do feel like the Bucks will end up, being able to. They might drop this one tonight, but then they might kind of shake it off and win in Milwaukee, and then win, coming back to Atlanta. I mean, I think this series is intriguing because you have a team that literally had no business being there at all with the Atlanta Hawks. I believe, like in January, they had fired their coach. They were like the 12th seed, and they were able to work their way. Obviously, a lot of teams in between them, injuries weren't really playing that well on their end, but giving them credit, they were able to be the 5 seed. They won game 1 in New York, won game 1 in Philly, won game 1 in Milwaukee, and they've just been impressing me. And I saw a tweet that said like they're so wide eyed and so young, they don't really realize how much they're achieving right now. They're just kind of out there, literally no pressure on them at all. I'm sure that's something that Nate McMillan is just really kind of preaching to them, letting them know, like, we already exceeded expectations. Like, you guys go out there and play basketball. You guys are supposed to lose this series. So, why not just go out there and just have fun? And it's been great to watch. You don't really see a ton of Trae Young on TV just because they want to put like, the Lakers and the Clippers and the Nets and the Bucks on TV all the time. It's great to kind of see him in that spotlight. He's definitely shown up to the party.
Yeah. No, and just to give, I do like that team a lot, especially going forward. I think they're here to stay. I think Trae Young is only going to get stronger, faster, bigger, better defender, learn to shoot better, if you could believe that. So I think we've only seen the beginning, along with John Collins and just some, kind of how that team's built. They're built with shooters already. They don't have no crazy contracts, holding them back as far as, older players on the team or something. So I think they're really, it's Atlanta for crying out loud. So I think you could attract free agents down there.
Yeah,
Uh, so I think, they're going to be here for the future. And Ice Trays, he really kind of made a name for himself. And I think,
yeah,
when we look back 3 or 4 episodes ago when we were talking about the young guns, we did talk about Trae Young, and
yeah.
I think he is obviously from that list. I think Devin
That's,
Booker may have been spoke about as well, but
yeah,
he being as young as he is, still being in the fight, he's proving a lot for himself,
yeah.
and being in the playoffs, going against the New York Knicks, and just
In the
taking
guard,
all that on, taking the Garden on, and
Philly.
defeating that, and up in Philly. And so you're playing some of the biggest cities, biggest markets in the country. So you're going to become very, very well known.
Yeah,
And that's why, you can't go through Twitter without seeing his name scrolling through highlights.
Ice Trae.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
a superstar.
yeah. What I always like what I was thinking about Atlanta earlier today was like, I mean, they're like not to take away from them, but I just like this is like kind of like they're like the South version of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely see us kind of Detroit kind of being what they are now in like 3 to 4 years, if they're able to keep everybody that they have now, everybody develops and continues to play well. Because I mean, like they got Quavo, Gucci D front row. Like I already know for a fact that Detroit will have like Sada Baby, Big Sean,
Yeah,
42 Doug, like all those guys kind of like front row as well. So I
yeah,
just see a lot of similarities in the franchise. It's just like very big time, like rap cities, just kind of been able to, like that fan base is just so like down there. I know they're just loving it. And I think the same thing kind of happened to Detroit. But no, I think just even with the Hawks too, like their team is set up so perfectly. This is like this is like what you expect when you're in the lottery for 10,
yeah,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row.
yeah,
They've hit on three guys. I mean, they've hit on two guys. I would say Trae Young and John Collins made a solid, like, it's a perfect setup. Like, they made a trade for Capella. They got Gallinari and Lou Will that have played, well over 50, 60 games in the playoffs already. So they come off the bench. Like, they're not even phased. They just go out there and just get buckets. Like, I mean,
yeah,
they just really kind of go out and do their thing, which is just awesome to see. And great series. I mean, wherever, I agree with you. I think the Bucks are going to end up kind of snapping out of it after tonight. They kind of got, maybe walked in like, oh, Trae not playing, and it's got like hit in the face, like, and obviously it's a long game too. They can always turn it back on at halftime and pull it out, which I think they probably will end up doing. But great series overall. It's great basketball.
No, I agree. I agree. And then, just to flip over to the other side of the coast here,
Yeah.
about the Clippers and the Suns. Also a great series. And just it's interesting to see that play out as well, because the Suns have, they've been one of those teams over the last couple of years that people look to Devin Booker of why could he not drag them to the playoffs,
Mm.
and why. And then they go get him a big time center. And was that the right move? Or should they have drafted Trae Young? Or should they have drafted Luka Doncic? And all that happens, and then you put Chris Paul in, and it just gels.
Yep.
So I think it's kind of interesting. I did speak about the Bucks earlier, but I do think the Suns are also very well suited to win a championship. I think they're probably the deepest team, probably most. I don't know. I don't want to say I did. I don't know. They're definitely. I'm probably not the most skilled, but they have a very deep. They're very deep, and they're very
Great piece that just fit.
yeah. It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, but they just have a great point guard, a guy that can get in Chris Paul. He can hit big time shots as well.
Yep.
Devin Booker can hit any shot on the court and get his own shot.
Yep.
A big time center, and like I said, several bench pieces. So I think they're a tough squad.
They're built as well. They're
Yeah,
built for a championship. Yeah. I mean,
he's,
I'm a big DeAndre Ayton fan.
he's
Like he
good.
had that. He had one of those like staple games Saturday night, that 19 and 22 or 4 blocks in like 40 minutes. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think anybody. I think pretty sure he was the leading scorer. Might have been the leading scorer for both teams, just because of how
I
bad
mean,
they're playing, how bad they're shooting. But yeah, I mean they got a rim protector. you already said it. Like they got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, they got Mikal Bridges. Other guy named his name is Cameron Johnson coming off the bench. He's automatic pretty much from the corner three. Jay Crowder, Jay Crowder's always been a great role player. Like
Yeah.
he's played for so many different teams, so many different playoff teams, and they're very well suited.
Jay Crowder's one of those guys that will look back. There's always some over like decade, like over eras of basketball. Jay Crowder's going to be one of those guys that we look back and every time you watch a highlight of the NBA Finals or a good playoff series, it's going to be him guarding LeBron. It's going to be him guarding Kevin Durant. It's going to be him guarding who it's they're always in the mix of on a good contention team, and they're kind of underlooked. But those are the key pieces for why teams work. And it's not a coincidence that he's always happens to be where the team that's going far because he's a key piece to what teams need.
See what he can do, and they want him there. He'll be one of those guys like he'll play like 15 years and he'll end up playing for like 13 teams. It's like no disrespect to him. I mean, I feel like he probably like, all right, like who want to pay me 1 year, 7, 8, 9 million, whatever his like tier as far as like player is like worth. You know what I'm saying? Like that mid-level veteran, role player type salary. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have him on my team. He's a big, big time like bully, just a guard, toughest player.
All day.
Hit open three. He's a great player for sure.
So and then you got the team that the Clippers, who I find interesting as well. I'm not gonna say I'm a big Paul George fan. I mean, but I do like Paul George. He especially like young Paul George out with the Pacers. He was a dog. Yeah. So it is good to see him just kind of revert back the time machine and look kind of like more like Pacer Paul George. Yeah. So that's something I do love seeing. And Reggie Jackson out there getting buckets, and so it's kind of it makes me the team is they're doing well. They almost lost a couple different series throughout this playoff run. So I don't know. It just makes me wonder, would they be hitting on all cylinders now if Kawhi was here, or would it would be much of the same, kind of what we're seeing now? And I don't know. That's kind of a question that I have.
No, that's a good. I mean, that's a good call, and I think, I'm not a huge Paul George fan, but I want to give him his respect because that was one of the best games I've ever seen him play last night. Commentators were giving him shit all first half because he wasn't being aggressive enough. He scored 20-some points in the third quarter. He only missed, I think, like 5 shots all last night, and like 3 of them were threes, and a couple were just like jumpers where legs probably kind of going, need a little bit of a break, and got pulled out of the game, just kind of get his legs back under him. But I agree with you though. I think like Kawhi just kind of has this like, he's not like a great leader. He's super quiet. He just has this. I mean, he'll destroy you. Don't get me wrong, but like he just like when things aren't going right. When things are going right, this is him. When they are going right, this is him. So it's just like he doesn't really have the energy. I feel like when he went to LA, he's kind of like got all the commercials and doing all the stuff off the court, which is cool. Get the bag however you want to. I just sometimes kind of question. I feel like Kawhi Leonard would be that guy. Like he'd retire like 3 years from now, and I wouldn't be surprised because like he'd just be like, all right, whatever. His knees are already all banged up. They have an 82-game season. He plays like 55 games. Like he's always sitting out, and I think some of that stuff, trying to get all this extra rest, it kind of just doesn't really do as many favors for his body as he thinks it does, or they think it may. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see is he worth, paying another max contract to where he's not even available for half the season, and they weren't really able to be as successful with him.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll get another max. I don't know if that will happen. I mean, I could see a team doing it, but
probably won't.
Yeah, I can't. Maybe not. Definitely not them.
At this point, I'd probably rock with Paul George. I mean, I think what I'm saying, if him and maybe bring in somebody else, I can kind of shoulder a little bit of that load too. Like, I think Kawhi's a great player. Don't get me wrong. I just kind of feel like sometimes that door is kind of closing. Like if they're not able to get to the finals this year, you already blew a 3-1 lead in the semifinals last year. You're already kind of struggling through the playoffs this year. Obviously, you win 4 games, win the series, but it's kind of ugly how they're doing it. Like, it shouldn't really be like this. Like,
no. So I wanted to fact check myself, so I just Googled it. Because I read some stat about Kawhi Leonard like 2 weeks ago that blew my mind.
Okay.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but Kawhi Leonard only has 11,000 career points.
Really?
That blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean, you think like his first like what 4 or 5 years of his career, he was in San Antonio. He was like fourth option.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I mean, it makes sense when you look at it,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just kind of wild when I seen that because I like, you know, not that he's not, he like you said, he's a great player, but he was put on such a very high pedestal after coming off that championship with the
yeah,
in Toronto. So,
yeah,
and when you consider that was 2 seasons ago, so he was at like 8,000 points then, and
yeah.
it was like, and so
And it's easy too. Like he was being all goofy. Like they got like him laughing in the car with like Serge Ibaka, and the Warriors. They were kind of like breaking apart, and KD wasn't even there, and you know,
yeah,
Clay not taking away from what Toronto did. It was just one of those things where it was like in the moment type thing where Kawhi is obviously a top five player, but it's like, is he really like what we think he is? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, is he really
No,
like, does he really mean as much to a team as
I completely agree. So, it kind of sucks that he was kind of removed from the series. So did we never kind of get, like you said, kind of much more of the same, getting robbed of the what could be the
yeah,
playoffs. Yeah, well, yeah. So and obviously not just we're getting robbed of it, but the players are getting robbed of the opportunity to make a legacy, the opportunity to go stay healthy because the NBA rushed them back, so we made them jam packed. So it's bad all around.
and it's
But so just looking back, it makes me wonder, or looking forward, I would say, who do you see kind of pulling out of this series?
so I don't know, man. I like Chris Paul a lot. I think he's cursed. Like I don't know. I just like how they looked last night. It's kind of like no sense of urgency. I think they got down like 20-5. We're able to obviously get back into it. They didn't even get the lead until like midway through the third. They got some very, very, very questionable calls. They got a couple of flagrants I think were called their way.
Yeah,
That's 3 shots and the ball in another bucket. So that's like a 5-point swing, but the Clippers were able to kind of overcome a lot of that stuff. Um, I and now they got to go back to LA and try to
yeah.
take them out. And like the Clippers, is for them, it's just like we got to just like
And
unload the clip, basically. You know what I'm
the
saying?
Clippers
Like,
have, sorry, and the Suns have home court advantage, right?
yep. So it's a game
Yeah.
seven will be in Phoenix. Yep. So I'm gonna say Phoenix in seven.
Okay.
I can see Paul George have another 35, 40 point night tomorrow. Reggie Jackson's been playing great.
Yes.
He's one of the few Pistons that like got bought out that I don't hate because he actually led us pretty well. So that last time they were in the finals, or I'm tripping. The playoffs, like when they like 2016, they got swept by Cleveland, but we played really really well that year. So I got a little love for Reggie Jackson. Most threes in the postseason. He'll probably end up finessing Houston out of like 100 mil, and then
Yeah.
hang out there for 3 years, get traded again. You know what I'm saying, to a contender, and
Yeah.
that's kind of how it works. But I got Phoenix in seven. What do you think?
No, I think I'm in second that actually. Phoenix in seven. I think it's I don't know. I think I agree with almost everything you said.
Yeah,
I don't want to bring up the Chris Paul may or may not be cursed thing, but that's the last thing we want is for him to go and pull a hammy or some fucking shit.
that's what I'm
But
saying. It's like I don't know. They just not
yeah,
look good yesterday. Like
so
he didn't look
no, I
that
agree.
great.
But no, I think they're gonna pull it out overall. I think if Chris Paul can't do it, Devin Booker show up, Aiden in the paint. Um, I just think I think they'll get it done.
Yeah. I
So
apologize to my fans that are listening. The Pistons have not been to the finals since like '07. I accidentally said that they were in the finals like 4 or 5 years ago, and they weren't even close. So their finals were being swept by the Cavaliers in the 2016 first round. That was their finals. But hey, small victories. We're
uh,
coming back.
yes, we are.
Sadiq Bey,
So
MVP. All right, go ahead. That was stupid.
no, so no, I was just gonna say this. If we see, I think I don't know, we're gonna see some mega teams get formed this offseason. And it's going to be kind of interesting. I think your Lakers are going to try to form a new one, and I think a couple other teams are going to try to maneuver and make some moves. Philly probably being one, your Lakers being another.
I heard Kyrie might
So
be on a trading block.
I could see
My
that.
sources are telling me. My sources are Instagram though. So.
I feel you. So I don't know. I would say all of that to say I think Dame it'll probably be the biggest piece this summer. He'll probably be the biggest sought after player you could go after. And
Hmm.
wherever he goes, you could probably imagine if there's already an all star or there'd be another coming with him wherever he ends up.
Yeah,
Um, and so I just, where could you see him ending up? Some realistic, some unrealistic.
man.
Uh, I, you know,
I think like realistically, I don't know, I don't see him leaving there. I think like sometimes like I know what happened just with like Chauncey. I guess he might have had like a rape case back in '97 that kind of came to light, a few weeks ago. That's what the big thing is like he endorsed. They're saying he endorsed Chauncey, and they're saying he knew about what Chauncey did because they were gonna go after Jason Kidd too, but Jason Kidd has also had a pretty like bad past, just like on the court and off the court. So what happened was they hired Chauncey. A lot of people were getting on him saying that Dame knew what Chauncey might have did back in '97, knew about that. And so nowadays, like you endorse those types of things, people kind of like look at you in a different light. I
so I'll
see.
be 100% honest with you. This is the first time I'm hearing any of that.
Oh shit.
But
Okay. Yeah.
no, I'm just being 100. So this is the first time I'm hearing any of that, and I'm not, I'm not sure. Obviously of accusations, I've heard any of it, but I
Mhm.
know that Chauncey Billups was like a first round pick. He went to multiple NBA finals. He
Yep.
had final MVP. I feel like
Great
a
experience.
lot of stuff probably would have came to the light by now. You would imagine. So
Very
it's going to
true.
be kind of interesting to see, what would play out of this
Yeah.
through somebody that may have had a lot of scrutiny over the years anyway. So,
Right. Yeah, I'm just glad he, got the job, signed his deal. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever might have happened back then, like you said, I don't. If it happened in '97, I don't see how it's coming to light in 2021. So it's kind of crazy how those types of things work. But I think just okay. So realistic, unrealistic places. I think one good fit for Dame would be. I kind of like him in like Miami. Like I feel like he's a hard like that. The culture they have, they work hard. Him, Jimmy Butler. I mean, those are like they're two like gym rats. Bam Adebayo. I mean, I'm sure they had to get off of like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, probably a few other guys in order to get him.
mm.
And then I don't know. I mean, I feel like unrealistic one would be at the Lakers. Is that possible? Probably not. But like, it's like, what are they going to be willing to? Would that be like a Kuzma, Caruso, Caldwell Pope, 3 draft picks? I mean, I even saw those are the two.
They even have 3 draft picks.
They might be going into 2030 at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like you will be looking up at the lottery 2030, like, oh, the Portland has the Lakers first round pick
Yeah.
from 2021 when they traded for Dame Lillard. But yeah, I think those. I think like yeah, Miami. I think that'd be a great fit for him. What do you think?
Yeah. So I actually kind of could see him in Miami. But some of the ones I read, um, I don't know. I just read online and was the Bulls. I
Yeah,
seen that they had their pick, whatever like top 10 pick they got this year, uh, Markkinen and like Cody White, and I thought that was I think that might be in the ballpark of maybe it's something that they would entertain, like a top 7 pick. Um, Laurie Markkinen, who's very very solid, pretty young, and I don't know,
they
and
probably
Cody
got a
White
couple
was
guys
pretty
there
solid.
that
So,
we
you
we
know,
don't even know about. We just haven't heard a ton about that. I think they had a guy they drafted like top 4, Patrick Williams,
hmm
pretty good.
yeah,
They
yeah,
got Vucevic. That could be possibly an option.
for
I've
sure.
also heard Philly, Ben Simmons for like McCollum, like straight up. Some people were saying that might be because they're like polar opposites. One small can
Right.
get
That's true. And
for
then the most off the wall one that I uh, that I read was New Orleans, and yeah, off the wall. But New Orleans has like 13 picks over the next 4 years or something.
got like 3 from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they said that they would give up like 4 first round picks and Lonzo Ball and and I forgot who else was on there, but they would keep Ingram and obviously Zion, and then
Yeah.
Dame.
Who like
And
who woke up and was just like players are worth 8 draft picks, 7 players, like what? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like that's just obviously if you want these trade packages, they could throw in a couple guys, from Portland as well. They might bring another team as well to kind of like a little 3-team type deal. But
Mhm.
I saw one that was like Boston was going to give up like Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, like 5 draft picks. It's like I would never do that.
You wouldn't
Anybody? I don't. Do you think
Dame and Tatum?
that would be scary? Is that gonna get like? Is that like a guaranteed ring though? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, is that like? I mean, what is that like a finals appearance like 2 out of 5 years? Like what? I guess like what's the expectation? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, but your Lakers just went for it, and that was and
Happen.
that was and that yeah, and they got a ring out of it. So was that one ring worth it?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good point.
They
That's
only
good.
take
Yeah,
one.
yeah. With five. Well, the Celtics they got a lot of people's draft picks. They kind of like up there with OKC. They
Bro,
got a
y'all
lot.
traded five real good players. Y'all
Yeah,
traded like a real playoff team.
yeah. They did. And somehow the Pelicans. I mean, they had Van Gundy, so like I know why they didn't figure it out. But yeah,
So, I mean, really, if you can pull together that one ring,
yeah,
you know, some people might say the Lakers should have maybe need to get another one or be in a contention again at least or something, but
yeah,
they got the one out of it. So,
yeah.
looking back in history, they would say it was successful.
Absolutely. Oh, you're right. You're right. I think it's funny because it's like I just want to see what players are drafted like were traded for like 10 years ago. Because like I mean they'll be like OKC would be like, all right, we'll give you every pick for like the whole Portland Trailblazers team. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I just feel like it's just crazy that like players like picks are just kind of being thrown out like that. Because I feel like obviously a completely different sport, but football, like I feel like they kind of want to hold the picks a little bit heavier, a little bit tighter,
Yeah.
and like basketball is kind of just like you know,
Well, yeah, I agree. But in basketball, I read this thing and I'm going to mess it up a little bit, but I think you can only trade like 4 or 5 straight picks
oh
in
wow,
like because some team I forgot what team, but some team in the '70s traded like the rights to the next 50 years or some shit.
that's
And
the
then the NBA came in and was like, you cannot do that.
yeah. It reminds me too of like the Paul George trade from OKC. I'm pretty sure they gave up like
Yeah, no, they were on the list too, but I just cut them off. I didn't want to talk, but because they had more picks than the Pelicans. They had
yeah,
more.
yeah for
Yeah,
Paul George. So they got Shai Gillis Alexander. This is what OKC got from the Clippers. Danilo Gallinari, Clippers first round pick in 2022, 2024, 2026. And there's also like a 3-team trade. So they got Miami's Heat picks in 2021, 2023, and a first round pick swap in 2023 and 2025.
yeah,
They
bro.
essentially have 2 first round picks for the next like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
For one,
no, just on that's so smart. I really think, especially in that type of circumstance. But
yeah.
literally on like some 2K shit, that's what I do every time I take over a team. It's
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, trade the picks, figure it out later. It's kind of like you get a ring, all right, cool. Like it's worth it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
fair. Yeah, it's crazy to think about though. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I guess I look at it as like, you might be messing around and trading for the next like or giving away the next Trae Young or the next. But if
yeah.
you want a
You
ring,
are,
okay,
you are, but you're gonna put those.
it's time to win now.
No, yeah, but you also put those. It's my pick if it's 1 through 5, and
Yep.
it's your pick if it's the rest of the draft, and then you do that type of shit. That's how the Pistons got the Darko draft. Is we we had it where we could swap with them, so
Mm-hmm.
we took the Orlando's pick that year. That's how I think it was Orlando's pick. That's how we got it, and
Mm.
so out of the. But it was one of those things where we had did that for like Chucky Atkins like 5 years earlier. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy. Cause we got it. We didn't even. I didn't think we didn't talk about Pistons getting number 1 pick.
Mm-mm. Hey, I
We'll
was
we'll
hot.
end up we'll end with this topic. Give us a couple minutes.
Mm.
I mean, what do you? Cade is obviously coming. You
Yeah,
know, Cade, Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey. People aren't really sold on Killian Hayes. I think he's gonna be the next Tony Parker. Tony Parker was a 3-time champion.
Yeah,
Um,
he's
he has a very close relationship with Tony Parker. I believe he's from France as well. I kind of hope. I wonder if he'll play in the Olympics, play for France. That'd be kind of cool. Get some more, little more experience under his belt. But yeah, what are your thoughts on
yeah.
that?
So I think Cade Cunningham is the default. Obviously, I think we should go with him. I would be lying if I said we shouldn't strongly work out Jalen Green. That's his name. The kid
Mm-hmm.
that played in the G League. Um, I watched his highlights. He is just a bucket getter. Like
Okay.
he literally probably averaged like 16, 17, 18 his rookie year. Like they don't just get buckets. So that's kind of interesting to me. Um, but I think Cade is definitely the default. I think so. I think we should roll with him. I like where we're headed. You know, this is exactly what we said that needed to happen. We can make it through this off season with not signing almost nobody, no bad contracts, and
Yeah.
nothing more than like 2 years anyway.
Yep.
Because you nothing more than 2 or 3 years anyway. Because in 2 or 3 years, you need to be able to put together a good team around Cade. You
Mm-hmm.
need to have, so that's the thought process I would have is in 2 or 3 years we need to have zero money on the books other than whoever, the 3 or 4 players we want, and be able to go. Maybe then you can slightly overpay for whoever because you have a real chance of a squad. So
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about it. I think he's a great, big time scorer himself. Can shoot the ball. Like 6'8". So I think I like everything I can see. I like everything I see,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's gonna be big for the city. You
and it
know.
looks like he wants to be a Piston. The
Yeah.
way he's not. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's gonna be big for the city. I mean, I feel like now we're positioned to where if we can get him, maybe make another couple moves, find a way into the late first round, grab somebody else, or bring in somebody else, maybe get off of some of them like the bench players that we have. We got some, I mean, they had a solid team that is super young, and then try to grab a couple of free agents.
yep.
Oh, if you can mess around and get like a Lou Will, Danilo Gallinari type,
You
and
would
like
so
glue up that locker
your
room.
no, I feel you. Your thought process would be to try to if because we got the first pick to try to go get the playoffs this year.
I mean, I feel like that would be
Yeah,
ideal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to them kind of like going like 25 and however many I don't know how many
yeah.
going to play next season, but like kind of tanking again to kind of get back into the top 10 and grab somebody else. I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
I kind of I don't want to say this, maybe not even on camera, but I'm not opposed to that. Like
Yeah,
playing Gabe, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, playing them hard, and then shutting it down, and then just slowly shutting all the motherfuckers down, and then go get Amani Bates.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I saw a podcast. I think it was JJ Redick's podcast. He said something about he was like, like when you get picked that high, you're probably not making it to the. You're not gonna be playing in May and June. And like Kate was like, you tripping? Like I think. I mean, I
I
don't know.
like I like the mindset. I like the mindset. And I wouldn't if we were really doing solid, I wouldn't do it. But if it was a one of those, let's say, you know, we're at sub 40% wins,
Yeah,
and why try to why go ahead and get the 15th pick when we can get the sixth?
yeah,
That's the. But if we're about 500. Hell yeah, I'm gonna be in the fucking Little Caesars Arena going off myself. So
yeah. And I think got Dwayne Casey locked up for like what
a
until like
couple more years.
2025.
Yeah. Yep.
Obviously he's a great coach. I mean, he's coaching kids up really well. You got two of the top 10 best rookies in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But there's levels to it. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Brooklyn, you got Milwaukee, Atlanta, New York. Like I mean, you got a lot of teams. Charlotte, Washington might even be able to kind of be better next year. Boston gonna make some moves. They're gonna be in the back of the mix next year. So it's like I like his confidence, but it's also like it might not be bad idea to kind of be the 12 seed, 13 seed, pack it in again, and maybe mess around and get a top 5 pick.
Yeah, and he'd be rolling,
Yep.
rolling.
Yep.
Yes,
So
sir.
it'll be interesting to see what they do as far as free agency. Hopefully there's some guys out there maybe kind of like got 3 or 4 years left and they're like, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play a young core, come off the bench, play 15, 20 minutes a game, you
Right.
know, like, so, get like some guys that'll come in, like be like that sixth, seventh, eighth man and, glue the team together, like be like locker room guys to maybe I ain't gonna be mad if they mess around and end up with the 7th seed, you
No,
know.
I won't be
But
mad at
like
all. I'm
I
getting the
think
game.
yeah. Right, we're gonna be at the game for sure. We're
Yeah.
gonna be at that, game 3-4, they down 2-0 to Brooklyn. We're gonna be in there like, hey, whatever.
That's fine.
Right. I'm being here with where's it at? I'm gonna be wearing this too. And hopefully they're gonna be wearing them too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
we got to bring him back.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So all in due time. I think it was a good, definitely well, needed for sure. The first number one pick in like 51 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, it brought
Perhaps
blood,
that four first round picks in like 10 years.
and it brought blood and juvenation to the city and to every like
Yeah.
I feel like there was more Pistons fans on Twitter that night than I seen ever.
Yeah.
It was like, where all these people come from?
Yeah.
People that was earlier that week die hard tweeting about other teams, and then so it is odd. It's all odd, but
Yeah.
we'll welcome on board,
Right.
and
There's plenty of room,
yeah,
you know. So we
facts.
understand a lot of guys, a lot of guys we grew up rooting for. They're going off to the sunset. So a lot of guys want to come back to the home team. It's okay. It just kind of works out like that,
Yes.
you know. So, but yeah. Anything else you got for them?
No, sir. We'll try to get back in. It's 4th of July weekend. We'll try to get back in by right around this coming up weekend, maybe right after.
By that time, it might be finals. I think the first finals game is like the 8th or the 9th.
Yeah,
So,
perfect time.
yep. We'll tune in, give our predictions, and go from there with it.
Good deal. Peace.
Yep.